Hello book lovers, and welcome back, or welcome to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. Today I will be doing BookTube's well-known end of the year book tag. So I've seen a couple of the people that I follow doing this tag, but to find the questions, I honestly just typed into YouTube search bar, end of year book tag. Alexandra Roslin's channel is the one that popped up. So I will be taking the questions from her channel, but in her comments, she did mention that the original creator was Ariel Bassett. So I will go ahead and link both of their channels down below if you want to go check those out. So this challenge kind of looks at the reading plans that you have for the remainder of the year. I'm pretty much looking mostly at December because I already have all my plans set for November. You can check out my November TBR to see what those are. But other than that, I will go ahead and just jump right into it. So the first question is if there are any books that you started this year that you still need to finish. I'm usually pretty good about finishing a book if I'm planning on finishing it, or DNFing it if I am finished with the book or don't want to continue reading it. I do, however, have 3 books that I have temporarily DNF. These are books that I started and just was not feeling, but at the same time I knew that I wanted to read them someday. Now I know the question is asking if there's any books I need to finish as of this year, and I have 0 plans of finishing any of these books this year, but I'm hoping to get to them next year. But you'll probably see them on my Goodreads list under currently reading. They've been there for quite a while, so I figured I'd go ahead and mention them. The first one is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This one I started as an audiobook. I actually got 25% through that story, but I just wasn't really enjoying the audiobook experience. I sometimes had trouble figuring out whose point of view I was reading from, so I decided to put it down and to one day hopefully pick up the physical copy of this book. The next book is Darius the Great is Not Doing Okay by Adib Khorram. This is another book I started as an audiobook. I only got 9% through this book, but I just wasn't vibing with it. I was moving away from YA a little bit this year, but this does seem to be a pretty well-loved book, so I definitely want to give it another shot. I just may try the physical book, or maybe I'll give the audiobook another chance. The last one is a bit embarrassing. I think I discussed this book in the first vlog that I did on my YouTube channel, my Westport vlog. So I'll go ahead and link that if you want a little bit more information about why I was not able to finish it. And that is The Debunking Stone by TJ Klune. I absolutely love TJ Klune. Behind this are a bunch of his other books, and this is a part of his Tales of Verenia series. It's the 5th book, I believe, and it follows Prince Justin, and I was so excited to finally get to his story, but unfortunately I started reading this at a very difficult time. The day after Roe versus Wade got overturned, and this book does deal with a forced marriage, and our characters are kind of being forced into a situation by an idiot and by someone who's clearly corrupt. And that was very similar to the situation that a lot of people with the ability to get pregnant here in the US were suddenly finding themselves in, and it was way too triggering for me to continue. I think in August I considered trying to pick it up again, but it still caused a bit of anxiety in me, so I have still not continued with this book. I am hoping to read it at some point next year. but it's just a story that is a little bit too triggering for me at this time. Maybe if America gets it together and makes abortion legal permanently, I'll be able to read it without having a panic attack. But till then, US politics will, I guess, affect my reading. So the next question is seeing if you have any autumnal reads that you are going to use to transition into the fall months. However, I consider us already pretty deep into fall, and I've already read a lot of the books that I wanted to read this fall, and chosen the books that I'm going to read here in November, and then as of December 1st, I consider that winter. So I do have a couple books that I would like to read in December to really get me into that wintry mood. So I'm going to talk about those instead. The first one is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I read her Spinning Silver book in January, which is a winter month as well, and it just had the perfect winter vibes. These are kind of fairy tale based books, which are really good for the winter season. This one, I believe, is maybe a Beauty and the Beast retelling. We are following a woman who lives in a town that is at the edge of a magical forest that seems to be kind of like creeping closer to them, and they have a deal with, is it a king? A wizard. So they rely on a wizard to keep the forest at bay, but he requires a sacrifice every 10 years, maybe? Yep, every 10 years of a young woman to come serve him in whatever way he needs. Everyone expects our main character's friend to be chosen because she's the most beautiful and desired woman, but instead it seems our main character is chosen. I don't know anything else about the story, but I really love Naomi Novik's ability to write strong female characters and to write really realistic and subtle romances, and I really enjoyed her writing, so super excited, really hopeful to get to it in December. The second one is called The Winter Duke by Claire Eliza Bartlett. I have to admit I keep forgetting the synopsis of this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it. All Ikeda wants is to stay alive and the chance to prove herself as a scholar. Once Ikeda's brother is finally named the heir to the dukedom of Kalma above, there will be nothing to keep her at home with her murderous family. Not her books or her experiments, not her family's icy castle atop a frozen lake. Not even the tantalizing close Kalma below, a mesmerizing underwater kingdom that provides her family with magic. But just as escape is within reach, her parents and 12 siblings fall victim to a strange sleeping sickness, and no one can find a cure. In the space of a single night, Ikeda, I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, inherits the title of Duke, her brother's captivating warrior bride, and ever encroaching challengers from without and within her ministry. So this is a female romance. It's about a woman in a ice castle who finds herself in a position of power that she does not want. She's a scholar, which makes me think we have another strong, intelligent female character. I am very excited to read this book, and hopefully we'll be able to read it this December. The next question is asking about new releases that you are still looking forward to. Now, I don't really pay attention to new releases. The way I kind of find books is one, if I see them on Instagram, if I see someone I follow on Goodreads is reading them and I'm intrigued, or of course if someone on BookTube is talking about them. Otherwise, what I usually do is I find a book that I like, I put it on my to-read list, and once I've read it, I will either, if it's part of a series, add the next book onto my TBR, or if I decide I want to read other things from that author, I will add the next book I'm interested in onto my TBR. That does kind of mean that if I finish a book by an author and they don't have anything else out, I may possibly forget about them forever, which is unfortunate, but you know, I have such a massive TBR and it's so overwhelming. it just seems a little unnecessary for me to go out and find other books. I of course appreciate when other people do it because it's always nice to have something to look forward to. For this year, I don't think there's anything. I think next year TJ Klune is coming out with a new book, and I of course am always interested in his work. I know Fonda Lee is coming out with another book as well, and I really loved her Green Bones saga. I'll put a picture of the book that's coming out. I don't know when these are coming out or anything like that, but I know that those are two that I know are coming out next year. But other than that, I'm clueless. I'm just here along for the ride, and you know, if the universe wants me to read the book, it'll find its way to me. The next question is asking what 3 books you are still hoping to get to this year. After this month, I will still have 2 more books on my 22 books to read in 2022. So I, of course, will want to read those. The first one is The 100,000 Kingdoms, which is the first book in this Inheritance trilogy. This is a bind up of all 3 books. So my goal is just to read the first one, hopefully in December. This is by N.K. Jemisin. I really enjoyed her Dreamblood duology. In fact, I thought the Dreamblood duology was her first published work, which is why I read it first, but this is actually, I guess, her first. So I'm very excited to jump into this. I've heard really great things about it. It seems to involve humans interacting with gods, and a well-enjoyed romance as well. Looks like there's going to be a lot of political intrigue, and we're also following a female character, which I always enjoy. So definitely this is one I will for sure be getting to. The other book is a collection of short stories. It's an anthology called Love After the End, and this is all written by Indigenous authors, and I believe all the stories are about two-spirited people, or at least queer Indigenous people. I do not have a lot of luck with short stories, even if they are based on queer characters, so I am a little nervous about this, but it was a goal of mine to read more stories by Indigenous authors, and I don't think I did a very good job at that. I will admit that right now, but this is still very much a group of stories that I want to give a chance. The last book that I would like to get was a bit of a cover buy. I bought it a while ago, and I've kind of been pretending it doesn't exist ever since then, but I reread the synopsis while trying to figure out the answer to this question, and I would definitely love to get to it in December, and that is The Bird King by G. Willow Wilson. Because I'm still pretty new to the synopsis, I will go ahead and read it. It is very intriguing. The acclaimed second novel from award-winning author G. Willow Wilson, The Bird King tells the story of Fatima, a Caucasian concubine to the last sultan of the Iberian Peninsula, and her dearest friend Hassan, the palace map maker. Hassan has a secret. He can make maps of places he has never been and bend the shape of reality with his pen and paper. When representatives of the Spanish monarchy arrive to negotiate the Sultan's surrender, they see Hassan's gift as sorcery, a threat to Christian rule. With their freedom at stake, what will Fatima risk to save Hassan and escape the palace walls? As Fatima and Hassan flee to safety with the help of a clever jinn, the Bird King asks us to consider the nature of love and freedom at a time when the West and Muslim world were not yet separate. So this is a story that whenever I read the synopsis calls to me, but then I put it aside and I forget about it because I've never heard anyone talk about this. If you have read it, let me know what you think down in the comments. I definitely want to know, but I think I'm definitely going to try to get it on my TBR in December. It's not too long of a book, and it sounds like a really intriguing and adventurous story that will probably hold a lot of important lessons. The second second to last question is wondering if we have plans to read any stories that we think will still shock us and will make it in our top books of the year. I have 3 books here. The first one is The Bird King, which I was just talking about. If the writing is gorgeous the way I'm hoping it is, with this story and another strong female lead, I do not see how this book could disappoint. The other 2 are 2 books that I'm planning on reading this month. I'm actually planning on doing a vlog where I read 2 5-star predictions, which will probably come out after this video, and that is The Charm Offensive and The Martian. The Martian by Andy Weir is actually on my 5-star prediction list that I made a video for. This one is not, but I have heard nothing but wonderful things about it, and it's a queer romance, so I really don't know how it could disappoint me. So these are both 5-star predictions, which I will hopefully be getting to in the next week or so, and hopefully they are so amazing that they make it onto my top books of the year. The final question is seeing if you have made any plans for 2023. I have started making a list of videos that I want to film in December and January, just kind of all that end of year stuff, like what were my top 10 books, what were my lowest 10 books, how did I do with my goals, what goals do I want to set for next year. I want to do a 20 books to read in 2023, which is similar to my 22 books in 2022, but I don't want to choose 23 books to read because I feel like that's too much, especially since I am part of a Discord that has, I think it's called the Vlog Squad, and they have a challenge where the people in that Discord go ahead and put their favorite books of the year, and then you select books from there and read it throughout. So I want to select 12 books from there, which means at this point I would have like 32 books already chosen out for me, which might be a bit too much. So you may see some similarities between those 2 lists. I don't know if that's cheating, but of course I just want to allow myself to have a lot of wiggle room throughout the year to add whatever books I want to without having, you know, this giant stack of books that I decided at the beginning of the year I have to read. But other than that, I haven't set any goals or anything. I don't have really any special plans for my channel. As far as like my TBR game goes, I was thinking maybe adding a few new prompts, maybe a few new challenge prompts. And I am playing around with the idea of maybe allowing myself a reward if I finish all the books on my TBR, because right now I only have punishments and no rewards, and we all like rewards. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really thought too much about next year, to be honest. I'm just chugging my way through the end of this year. But if you guys have any awesome plans or anything, let me know so I can look forward to them along with you. Also, feel free to give the answers to any of the other questions. I will have them in the comments, and you can of course complete this tag yourself. I would love to see it. But as always, guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!